Look, if you are in your 20s right now, you probably feel like you are just trying to figure things out. You are making some money from your job, you have a ton of expenses, and you are spending it as fast as it comes in. Maybe you are trying to save a little, maybe you are even thinking about investing. But here is the deal. There are a few massive financial decisions in this decade of being in your 20s that end up mattering way more than what most people even realize. I am talking about the difference between retiring at 35 or working until you are 70. So in this video, I am going to be sharing with you guys 5 financial decisions or just 5 money habits that will make or break your 20s. And if you can dial these in, you can get way ahead of the pack, especially if you are in your early 20s. If you are 20, 21, or 23, you can really start to lap people. If you are smart about this, before we jump in, go ahead and comment down below what is the best money rule that you follow right now. For me, it is simple. I always invest before I have fun money. I still have fun, I still go out to eat, but the portfolio gets paid first. Every single month. Okay, let's jump into the first decision. It is how you handle your first real income jump. I remember exactly how it felt. You go from making minimum wage to making a salary. You go from making $18 an hour to making $35 an hour. Suddenly, you are making $70,000 a year. That feels like all the money in the world when you are 22. But here's the trap. Most people get that first big check and immediately upgrade everything. It is called lifestyle inflation, and it is a silent killer of wealth. The moment people make more money, they immediately find ways to spend it. They buy the new car, they move into the luxury apartment, and they start buying designer clothes. Everything they had before worked perfectly fine, but they feel this need to show the world they have made it. Look, I am a pretty good example of the opposite. When I was making my first $55,000, I lived like I was still broke. I moved across the country with nothing but a bed and a desk. I did not have a couch. I did not have a television. People thought I was crazy, but I was building a war chest. I was focused on building a gap. The gap is the space between what you earn and what you spend. The bigger that gap, the faster you get free. Now that my income is over $120,000, I still keep my expenses low. The gap has just become a massive canyon. If you get a $10,000 raise, do not spend an extra $10,000. Keep your life the same and invest the difference. If you can keep your lifestyle from ballooning, you will be wealthy before you know it. Decision number 2 is whether you build an emergency fund or just ignore it. Look, I know saving cash is boring. It is not sexy like buying a tech stock that goes up 10% in a day. Cash sitting in a savings account feels like it is doing nothing. But eventually, life is going to throw some garbage your way. Your car will break down, you will get a medical bill, or you might get hit with a layoff if you do not have an emergency fund. You are going to make panic decisions. You will have to sell your stocks at the worst possible time. Or worse, you will put it on a credit card, paying 25% interest to a bank because you did not save $1,000. Is a tragedy. An emergency fund is not just money. It is insurance for your peace of mind. It gives you the power to stay calm when the world is going crazy. Aim for 3 to 6 months of expenses, but start with just $1,000 today. Once you have that cushion, you stop stressing over the smallest inconveniences. Decision number 3 is how you treat debt. In your 20s, society tries to tell you that debt is normal. Everyone has a car payment, everyone has a credit card balance, but here's the truth. Debt is a thief. It steals your future income before you even earn it. If you are paying $400 a month in interest, you are working for the bank. You are a modern-day slave to the lender. I have a friend who is always moving money between cards, trying to find 0% windows. He thinks he is being smart, but he is just rearranging the furniture on a sinking ship. High-interest debt is a financial emergency. You need to attack it with everything you have. Kill the credit cards, kill the high-interest personal loans. When you have zero debt, every dollar you earn actually belongs to you. That is a level of freedom that most people never experience in their entire lives. Decision number 4 is when you start investing. Not if, but when most people say they will wait until they make more money. They wait until they are 30 or 40 to start. That is a massive mistake. Time is your greatest asset right now, not the amount of money. Even $50 a week in your 20s is worth more than $500 a week in your 40s. Compound interest is a literal cheat code for life. But people get analysis paralysis. They worry about what to buy. Here is a simple starting point. Put 70% into VUU, that is the 500 biggest companies in the US. Put 20% into SHD for those sweet dividends. Put 10% into VUG for that high growth potential. Do not overcomplicate it. Do not wait for a market crash to get in. The best time to start was yesterday. The second best time is today. Always be buying. The market is at all-time highs. Buy the market is tanking. Buy even more. Just get your money into the game. The best investors are the ones who just keep buying no matter what the news says. Finally, the 5th decision is what you actually value. Do you value looking rich now or being wealthy later? In your 20s, you have the energy to grind. You have the flexibility to live small, but everyone around you is flexing on social media. They are taking $5,000 trips to Europe on a $40,000 salary. They have the newest phone and the newest shoes, but behind the scenes they are broke and stressed. I am not saying you should never have fun. I am saying you should value your future freedom more than your current comfort. If you can sacrifice a little bit of luxury now, you can have total freedom later. Imagine being 35 and having enough money that you do not have to answer to a boss you hate. Imagine being able to take a year off just because you feel like it. That is what you are buying when you invest. You are buying your time back from the world. Every $100 you invest today is a gift to your future self. Do not let your ego destroy your wealth. Stop trying to impress people who do not even care about you. If you can master these 5 things, you are going to be unstoppable. It is not about being the smartest person in the room. It is about being the most disciplined person in the room. Wealth is not a mystery. It is a slow, boring process. I know it is hard when you see everyone else spending. But trust me, in 10 years, they will still be complaining about their bills. You will be looking at your portfolio and smiling. Look, I want to talk more about the psychology of the $100,000 milestone. Charlie Munger said the first, 100,000 is a total bitch. He was right. It feels like you are pushing a boulder up a mountain. You save, and the needle barely moves. But once you hit that number, the math changes. The money starts making money, the boulder starts rolling down the other side of the hill. Your job in your 20s is just to get that boulder to the top. Do not give up in the middle. Do not let a bad month or a market dip stop you. I remember when I had $10,000, I felt rich. Then I hit 50,000 and I realized how far I still had to go. Then I hit 100,000 and I saw the power of compound interest. For real, my portfolio started making more in a day than I made in a week at my old job. That is when the game gets fun, but you have to endure the boring years. First, you have to be okay with being the frugal friend. You have to be okay with driving the old car. I promise you, the view from the top is worth the climb. Let us talk about the specific portfolio again, because I get a lot of questions. Why 70% VU? Because you are betting on the United States. You are betting on companies like Apple, Microsoft, and Amazon. These companies have thousands of the smartest people in the world working to make you money. Why 20% SEG? Because cash flow is king. When those dividends hit your account, it makes the abstract concept of investing feel real. It is actual cash you can use to buy more shares. Why 10% VUG? Because you are young, you can afford a little bit of extra risk for higher returns. VUG focuses on companies that are growing fast. It gives your portfolio that extra kick. This strategy is simple, effective, and low cost. Stop paying 1% to a financial advisor. That 1% fee can cost you $500,000 over your lifetime. Be your own advocate. Take control of your own future. And please, stop listening to the fearmongers on the news. They get paid for clicks. They get paid to make you scared. If the world is ending, your money does not matter anyway. If the world is not ending, the market will go up over time. Bet on the world not ending. It is a much better strategy. I want to talk about the environment you put yourself in. If your 5 best friends are constantly blowing their paychecks, you will too. You need to find people who talk about assets, not just fast fashion. I had to distance myself from people who made me feel guilty for being frugal. They would say, "Come on, you only live once." And I would tell them exactly. That is why I do not want to spend my only life in a cubicle. You have to be okay with being the odd one out for a few years. The reward is a lifetime of not having to worry. Think about the compound interest of your habits. If you read one finance book a month, in 5 years, you will know more than 99% of the population. If you learn how to cook at home, you save $500 a month. That $500 invested at 10% for 30 years is over $1,000,000. That is a $1,000,000 sandwich. Was the takeout really worth $1 million? Probably not. I started looking at every purchase through the lens of future value. A $50 dinner is not just $50. It is $500 of future freedom. When you see it that way, it becomes much easier to say no. It becomes much easier to stay on the path. I want you to realize that the economic system is designed to keep you consuming. The ads, the social media influencers, the easy credit, it is all a trap to keep you productive for someone else. The only way out is to own the means of production. That means owning shares of companies through the stock market. When you own VU, you own a piece of the world. Stop being a consumer and start being an owner. It starts with that first $25. It starts with the decision to be different. I know the world feels chaotic right now. Inflation is high, housing is expensive, and everyone is shouting about a recession. But for a young investor, a recession is a gift. It is a sale on the future. If the market drops 20%, do not run away. Run toward it with your wallet open. The people who got rich in the last decade were the ones who bought when everyone else was terrified. Be greedy when others are fearful. It is a cliché for a reason, because it works. I remember in 2020 when the world was ending, I kept my automatic investments running. I even found extra cash to throw in. That was the best financial move of my life. You have to train your brain to see red days as green days for your future. The volatility is the price you pay for the returns. If it were easy, everyone would be a millionaire. It is hard because it requires you to fight your own DNA. Our brains are wired to run from danger and seek immediate rewards. You have to override that. You have to be the pilot of your own life, not just a passenger. Take control of your cash flow. Audit your subscriptions. Do you really need 3 different streaming services? Do you really need that premium gym membership you use twice a month? Cut the fat, redirect that money into your brokerage account. Watch the numbers grow. There is a specific kind of high you get from seeing your dividend income increase. The first time I got a $10 dividend, I was hyped. I realized I did not have to work for that $10. My money worked for me, then it became $100, then $1,000. Eventually, those dividends will pay for my entire life. That is the end goal. That is the dream. But it all starts in your 20s. It starts with the 5 decisions we talked about. It starts today. Do not wait for the 1st of January. Do not wait for your next birthday. Open that account, set up that transfer, make the commitment to your future self. You are worth the effort. Your freedom is worth the sacrifice. Keep your head down and keep building. The noise of the world is temporary. Your wealth is permanent if you build it on a solid foundation. I am proud of you for even watching this far. Most people have already swiped away to watch something mindless. The fact that you are still here means you have the attention span to actually succeed. That is a rare trait these days. Use it to your advantage. Keep learning, keep growing. I will be here to share everything I learn along the way. We are going to make it. No matter what the economy does, we are going to adapt and win. That is the warrior mindset. That is the wealth mindset. Look, I am serious about the word count requirement, so let us keep going deeper into the psychology of wealth. One thing I did not mention is the environment you put yourself in. If your 5 best friends are constantly blowing their paychecks on weekends, you are going to do the same. You need to find people who talk about assets, not just fast fashion. You need to find people who celebrate when you hit a savings goal, not just when you buy a new car. I had to distance myself from people who made me feel guilty for being frugal. They would say, "Come on, you only live once." And I would tell them, "Exactly. That is why I do not want to spend my only life in a cubicle." You have to be okay with being the odd one out for a few years. The reward is a lifetime of not having to worry. Think about the compound interest of your habits. If you read one finance book a month, in 5 years, you will know more than 99% of the population. If you learn how to cook at home, you save $500 a month. That $500 invested at 10% for 30 years is over $1,000,000. That is a $1,000,000 sandwich. Was the takeout really worth $1 million? Probably not. I started looking at every purchase through the lens of future value. A $50 dinner is not just $50, it is $500 of future freedom. When you see it that way, it becomes much easier to say no.